Hey everyone, I'm rather incoherent. Back with the final episode of the base building death run series. Apparently the Ghost Leviathans don't want to be here for the intro. Bye guys, whatever. I was considering doing one more episode of decorating, but at this point my base lags pretty badly. I guess they're on their way back. They're looking pretty weird in those spotlights. But to be honest, twice now I've tried to start the video, went back, started decorating, and crashed. And at this point, my hubris has been my undoing. I've got too many mods and too much base. And other than finding the game, I'll call it now, because there's really not that much between where I would be ending it if I did it like how I wanted to, and ending it now. So rather than dealing with these technical issues, let's do a walkthrough of all the stuff we've built so far, and call it a wrap. Something about the Ghost Leviathans I find deeply unnerving. Not normally. I think normally when I'm near Ghost Leviathans, I don't find them weird at all. But just being in the tube, but then swimming around it like this feels very weird. Hi there. You have a good day. It's cool. I'm not going to bother you. So anyways, we're at the building we finished last time. This is the Void Observatory, as you may have guessed. It's a relatively straightforward base. It's got everything you need for a functional base: a bed, food, decorations, hydration machine, and most of all, a teleporter, because let's be real, you're not coming here normally. That would be a nightmare. Popping over to the global network, we're going to go through the Lost River Observatory, Dunes Observatory, and the Thermal Plant before we head to our main base. And they're all really just observatories, not too different from this one. Popping over to the Thermal Plant, this will look very familiar. It's more or less the exact same layout as the one we were just in. And I'll be back with you when the lighting feels like showing up. Oh, I suppose the thing I should actually do is show you the base from the outside, right? All of my observatories look more or less the same, looking much like this: antenna and power pylon on top. Field Creator Studios is entirely responsible for the power in this base. We'll talk more about the power being sent here when we're at the main base. And this one is for watching the Sea Dragon. It's also for mining ion cubes, which I was doing while I waited for the lighting to come back. But it's mostly for watching the Sea Dragon. He's a big screamy boy, likes to shoot his flamethrower at the ceiling for some reason. Not gonna ask why. I've actually come back to the Void Observatory just because I would like you to see how incredibly dark this place is. There's nothing. And it's not like I built this entire thing in the void. I'm on the edge of the map, but there's just no light down here at all. Popping in and using the sonar, you can just, like, we are on the very southwest edge of the map. There's nothing around here. Not quite sure why this thing's at 21 health. Now, if going to the void's a bit too much for you, if you don't want to look at 3 whole full-grown Ghost Leviathans, you can always come down to Lost River and stare at the one singular baby Ghost Leviathan. I've got another observatory in Lost River right above the entrance to the volcano zone. And like the 2 previous observatories, it's not that complicated of a building. We've got a scanner room, a long pipe going to an observatory. This time it's a double-storied room, but it goes down to basically the same thing. We've seen this before. Observatory is as observatory does. Next, we have my Dunes Observatory, which, as you can see, isn't actually in the dunes. It's on a border between the safe shallows and the kelp forest and the grassy plateaus, right on the edge of the dunes. And again, this one's built a little bit differently. Central room with a bunch of lantern fruit in production, scanner room on one side, off to the other we have the, you know, the grassy walls and teleporter room in the bed, as we always do. But being so far away from the dunes, there's quite a ways you need to walk in this one. There's not really a good spot to build an observatory in the dunes that doesn't start in the dunes. Which seems obvious, but I was trying to avoid building a base in the dunes when I started this. A decision I grew to deeply regret as I built more and more and more tunnels. I have to fill some more air. We're still not at the objective yet, because even when we go down this ladder, there's a little bit more ends of this tunnel. We're not quite all the way there. And even here, at the end of the tunnel, we're still not all the way at the dunes. Like, yes, this is actually properly the dunes. And there is the Reaper, but on YouTube I bet you can't even see him because night's falling, so I'll go take a nap and run all the way back here twice, I guess. Alright, we're back. The sun's clearly out this time. But even though he's down there, he's still so hard to see. And it's just appropriate for the Reaper Leviathan that unlike all of the other Leviathans, he's just hard to see from an observatory. He's spooky. He's not bioluminescent like the others. He's not glowing. He's not proudly walking up to you and shoving his enormous head into your observatory. Which is why this one has what I refer to as the shark tank, because you need to get out and bait him a little bit. That horrific frame drop is one of the things that's slowly killing my faith in the game, though. It's why I want to call it here instead of continue to decorate, is a lot of the time my game just hangs really bad on entering a base, sort of randomly. And about 1 in 10 times that it does that, it'll just crash these days. So, yeah. As is always the case with Subnautica, my world has fallen into disarray. It is nice when he actually comes by and decides to show himself. He's just usually down deeper in the murk, which I could have built this thing even twice as big as it already is, but at some point you just get tired of building tubes, right? And of course, those are just the observatories. Those are the little things I built outside of my base. My base is so big that it's not inside draw distance at this time of day with this level of murkiness water. Ignore that, that's the super Seaglide tube that we use to break the game in half sometimes. But the actual scale of this base is a little bit ludicrous. There's just so much stuff going on in here that I don't really know where to start. And as those shadows may be giving away, we're not just on the bottom of the water either. I guess let's stop at the top, or start at the top rather, which ironically requires me to go inside to get there. This is what I view as the main entrance of the base, which opens up into the main production room that has everything you could possibly need. Hooking an immediate left and going into this little glass room, it's one of many observatories we have looking out over the nearby biomes. This one just over the mushroom biome. But going up, we go way above the water into a 4-way observatory, which can show off the ridiculous Field Creator Studios. Those fish just fell out of the sky. Anyway, my game's perfectly fine. How about yours? Like I was saying, this is the Field Creator Studios windmill stuff. It's generating all the power that's being sent across the map to all those little outposts to power their teleporters, and likely oxygen supply. That part also matters. You can actually see my mobile vehicle bay from over here. I didn't know it would draw in from this far away. And it's sort of hard to imagine just how big this stuff is, because I'm next to that mobile vehicle bay now. This place is enormous. It's so big. And I just sort of get used to the scale of it from seeing it in the observatory, when in fact, no. If you're in the right position, the base doesn't fit in draw distance. Here in the middle, you can see everything. But from one edge to the other, you actually can't even see the whole base. Let's start over here, now that we've talked about what's above it. We'll sweep in through this direction. This is the Field Creator Studios industrialization and nightmare. This is a recycler. I've never used it. It looks cool. I didn't want to return it, so here it is. This is the Amazon Prime drone delivery bay. If that doesn't make sense to you, then you started on the wrong video. This is remote storage. There are no drills here, so it's really just a weird vestigial structure in my base. This is a set of processors for all the diamonds that I'm mining. We'll get to that much later down there. And we turn those into credits to buy things on Amazon. Again, if this isn't making much sense, you started on the wrong video. And this is a ridiculous number of solar clusters that are contributing towards my base's obscene 39,000 isn't all of it, actually. My base is glitched right now. Let me go get the rest of my power. This power pylon on top of my moon pools was currently broken and set to push instead of pull. Now to be pulling power from the windmill farm like everything else. These other things on top of my moon pools, by the way, this connects me to the World Wide Web. And these are, what should I call them? Battery backups, power banks. They hold more power. Each of them has a 10,000 power that they can hold, and you fill them with excess power. So ignoring the 30,000 power I'm getting from those, I have a 24,000 actual power output in this base. 14,000 is the windmill, the rest is basically all from these solar cells out here. I've got a couple, I've got several bioreactors, but they're relatively negligible, same with my normal solar panels. Coming in and left, we'll dead end immediately on the teleporter room, which was far and away the prettiest room in the base, the only one that aesthetically looked what I wanted it to be. And so this became the default aesthetic of all rooms. Green walls, kelp plants. Coming back around past that bulkhead again through all the glass tubing, we're going to enter into the farm. And I am very much a lantern fruit type of guy, a decision made much easier because while lantern fruits are better at giving you food, you don't have to worry about water with Field Creator Studios. Just click this button and congratulations, that's your thirst. You want more water? Bring it with you. Anyway, going back a step, you'll saw that I ran past an intersection. These are the moon pools. We have a pair of them, one for the prawn suit here, and another for the sea moth, which I haven't actually named yet because, well, the old one got destroyed and I don't love the new one. Coming out through the bulkhead in the room adjacent to the main room, we have, more water, because why wouldn't you have a water fountain in your bedroom? All the decorations I really wanted. Curtains, because that's the only way to paint a wall in this game. That's a mod. And a chair I can sit in. If I wanted to, I could watch stuff on my television over there if my chair were angled at it. Apparently it doesn't spin. But I don't want the television being on because the television is, in fact, very loud. Theoretically, I can make custom files for this and not just play the trailer for Subnautica, but I'm not going to. Heading out this way towards the grassy plateaus. Oh, I should mention that, but first we have an empty room. There is stuff down here. This was supposed to be a nuclear reactor, but I actually haven't explored the game enough to ever get a nuclear reactor. And then we pop out in the grassy plateaus. I should mention the reason that I chose to make my base where I did. That's the kelp forest, that's the grassy plateaus, and all the way over here on the other end is the mushroom forest. This is actually a base that stretches across 3 different biomes. And if you come over to the map of the world here, you can actually see it's very close to this entrance to the Lost River, which is the closest entrance in the game to this entrance, or any entrance for that matter, of the inactive lava zone. And to briefly show you my other bases, down here we have the thermal plant on the map, and Lost River, we have this outpost. Coming all the way to the top of the map, way over here, this is where my dunes base is, and all the way down here. Well, this is where my outpost base is for the Void. I'm not quite sure why it's not marked, and I'm not going to worry about it. We're done worrying about technical problems in this save, because this save is over. Anyways, this tube that we just went through, if we had branched off instead, we'd have come to this entrance, which, as you can see, leads into a scanner room or curves around into the Oculus farm. As I've mentioned, I have a lot of bioreactors. In fact, in this room alone, I've got 5 of them. These are the Alteragens from FCS, and yeah, it's a lot of bioreactors. But I'm not actually done with the bioreactors room yet. This empty room over here was meant to be like a Field Creator Studio stuff showcase, but after trying to decorate this base 3 times and crashing repeatedly, I've given up. I'm just gonna call the series here. Sorry about that. This is one of the many exits to the base, and this is the one that heads down. We have a small observatory room here. We don't really need to go inside because you can see the whole thing from the outside. And again, it goes down even further into the bottom of this mushroom biome. You can see I have a row of drills that mine for basically anything except late game resources, and these days it looks like I'm mining for diamonds for money, titanium, and sand for glass because I just want to build bases and buy stuff. And over here you can see, probably, I'm missing 1 or 2, but this is basically every piece of sea fauna in the game. These are the actual useful ones: mushrooms, vines, gel sacks, and everything you need to finish the game. This is all just cosmetic nonsense. I particularly love this one, which is nothing but oxygen plants. You don't need this. There's air right here. Why would you ever use that? But it's very funny to me. This room doesn't need to exist. This is just a bioreactor. I was using this at a point in time where I was trying to figure out why this wouldn't power on. Or why those wouldn't power on. I don't quite recall, but one way or another, it's just a vestigial bioreactor, which is a weird thing to have. Coming inside the base properly, you can see we have another bioreactor that I apparently am not fueling. Remote storage for those drills. The ladder up, another little bubble observatory to look out at my drills in case I don't feel like getting wet to check on them. And then next to the remote storage, we also have this so that I can easily just withdraw an inventory of things here, and then throw them straight into the base from here. The only reason I ever do this is if I wanted the drills to start filling this, because this has been at 200 for a while. I've never actually had to do that, and this is to do it faster by throwing my inventory into that. So a neat thing I didn't mention about the Field Creator Studio side of things is this window shows you all of these ore processors. There's diamonds that you can draw here. Just like last time, there's a little locker to put your things away in to do it faster. And the reason it's important to be able to see them inside is if I'm going to AFK and convert diamonds into stuff, then by AFKing inside the base, I can literally see when they change from blue and active to yellow and idle, which is really nice. Of course, I've said in the past that a real base is only a good base if it makes a very good jungle gem for a prawn suit. So I guess I need to test that, huh? I have no idea what happens if you're trying to use the prawn above the water, but I'm about to find out. The answer is I can't really go above these very much. I remember trying to get my prawn suit on the Cyclops last time being a nightmare. So far I'm feeling half decent about my jungle gem status. Yeah, it's a good jungle gem for the prawn suit. I expected it would be, and I'm happy to see that it is. But yeah, that's it for me. This has been the base that I spent the game crafting, and as you can see, my frame rate really doesn't handle it very well when I'm shooting around this thing. I've really enjoyed building this, but I've also sort of cursed my game by building it, and I think this is where I'm going to call it for this campaign. I never did build a Cyclops to leave just hovering above the base. I would love to, but if you recall, coming over to my Cyclops, I have the engine blueprint, I have the bridge blueprint, and I'm at 3 out of 3 on the whole, whatever the hell that means. So yeah, I don't have a Cyclops for this reason. But I'm still very, very happy with the base. It's not quite finished, but I mean, there will always be more random shit to add. I'm going to go ahead and call it here because we're at the point where adding to the base is becoming an active hassle. I mean, just real quick to show it off on video for you. You might think, like, how bad could it really be? First, I want you to watch the frame drop when I deconstruct this hatch, and then I want you to watch the sea moth fall out when the frames resume. That happens every time. Whenever I deconstruct or reconstruct something, there's a hard, like, 1/5 of a second frame drop, and everything in my base briefly restarts. It's ridiculous. The game's not quite snapped in half yet, but it's like an old quirky vehicle where I'm afraid to drive it even though it's technically reliable. Anyways, I've been RuningWithTools. I hope you enjoyed this series, and I'll see you in the next one. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. You all know the YouTube algorithm drill. As goofy and cynical as I am about it, it really does help. And I'm going to be taking tomorrow off and getting back on Monday. I'm not sure if I'll be uploading Below Zero, Crusader Kings 3, or XCOM 2 on Monday. One of those will definitely be coming on Monday, though. I'm going to try to get on a good recording schedule again so I can start doing 1.5 daily uploads again. I really prefer to be on that schedule. I just haven't been able to do it recently. Anyways, I already did the outro. Not going to do it again. See you in the next one.